Hello, it's Pamela. Today we're going to concentrate on the neck facing. We're going to finish that part today, and we've got our pieces all cut out. We've got the folded front neck facing cut with fabric and the folded interfacing with a glue on one side all cut out, and we've got our snip made where the little triangle mark was. So I'll take the pins out of this and we can keep track of what's what as we go. So if I lie this out, like that, that's our front part. And the back also, we've got the snips done, so we've got our good matching points. Take the pins out of this one. And I'm going to do the fabric pieces first. This is straying slightly from the pattern, but this is the way I prefer to do it. So we're going to match the notches up at the shoulder seams. So there's our little notch matching that little notch, and this one is matching there. Now it'll just take one pin to match them together, and we'll pin it there. And the same on this side, we're going to go in the machine this way, so I'll turn that one over. Match the little notches. Oh, I'm all fingers and thumbs today. Match that side. Right, so I'll just stitch. I'm going to do these separately, which is different from the pattern, but it's quite a good way of finishing the edges. So we'll 5/8 of an inch or 1.5 centimetres from the edge. We're doing exactly the same with the interfacing, joining it at the shoulder seams. This time we're going to treat the smooth side as the right side, so put them together that way. The glued side will be the wrong side in this method. And we'll stitch those. There we are. Now the reason I've done that is because I'm assuming you don't have access to an overlocker, we're going to get a nice finished edge by putting these together and stitching right round this curved edge, and then we'll be able to turn it back and iron it flat and smooth. Now because there's glue on this, we can't press this seam open at this stage. We're just going to finger press. If we used the iron, it would activate the glue and it would all go horribly wrong, so we'll just leave it finger pressed for the moment. In fact, finger pressing will do for this part as well at this stage. And we'll put these right sides together and stitch round the lower edge. So right sides together is turning that over and turning that over, and we'll put a few pins to match it here. We'll match the seams, and if we keep them open it will distribute the fullness and stop it from being too bulky. They should be exactly the same because they've been cut at the same time, so they should fit together quite nicely. There we are. Now, yes, so if I would normally overlock mine, but I'm assuming you've not got an overlocker at this stage if you're just beginning to sew. So if we stitch just a scant 1/4 of an inch from the edge, and then we'll be able to flip it round. So I'm a quarter of an inch for me is pretty much matching up to the edge of the foot. The fabric's lined up just there, and it'll be a nice close edge. And take out the pins as you go. And when we get to the seams, we'll just check that they are both lying open there. The back one's tucked under. We want them both to be lying open. There we are, right the way round. Okay, so we've got the iron warming up now, and we're going to take our facing and flip it through to the other side. Be quite gentle with it. The interfacing tears quite easily because it's not a woven fabric, it's just kind of bonded. So we're going to run our finger round close to the edge. We want it to fold just on that edge. There, so now we've got our glue side going to come together with the front facing and the back facing. So if we just make sure it's folded at the right place, we can work our way around the whole thing and it will bond as the glue's melted. There we are, so it's all bonded together now, and we've got a nice finished edge round there. I think the way the patterns say to do it is to bond them and then zigzag round that edge, but I think that's a much nicer finish when you don't have an overlocker. So there we are. So now we've to match it to the neckline on your top. So the first place we can match is the shoulder seams, so the seams should match together there. We're going to pin it this way because think of the way you're going into the sewing machine. And at the other shoulder seam. So this interfacing, it's a very lightweight one because it's a lightweight cotton top, but it does just finish off the neckline and make it sit more comfortably. It doesn't sag and bag around the neck, it just gives it a bit of body and finishes it off nicely. That's why we use interfacing. It comes in all different weights, so if you're using a cotton one then I would just go for a lightweight. So we're just going to pin it all the way round. The edges should match at the back of the neckline also. Right, and we're going to stitch all the way round to attach that. I think at this stage it's a good idea to stitch up there also on that little back neck opening. You can do that all in a oneer, stitching 1.5 centimetres from that edge. If you come up to this corner here, have your needle down and then pivot, and then we can go right the way round. So we'll start off down there. So needle down and then you can pivot the fabric round. Pivoting again to come down the other seam at the back. Right, now we've got that all stitched on. Now because this is such a curve, if we try and fold this back here, we're expecting this smaller curve on the seam allowance to sit back on a larger curve, so it would pull it all out. So what we have to do is snip into the curvy parts of it to allow them to stretch out to accommodate that curve. So if we snip in like that, you could snip these out if you want, if it's still quite bulky. That works fine. Just doing, oh, that one's still caught, just doing a little snip though. If it's bulkier fabric, you're sometimes as well to cut the fabric away. So you're cutting right up to the stitches, but obviously you're not cutting into the stitch or it would all pull away again. So we're just going to do that at regular intervals on the curved part of the neckline so that we can get it folded round neatly so that the neck facing is all on the inside. Just be very careful not to cut your stitches. Right, so that's it all trimmed all the way round, and we can fold it to the inside now, and I'm going to use the iron to press that flat. I should also snip this corner here because there's quite a lot of bulk in that to fold back, so I'll cut it off like that and we can turn it through quite neatly. For want of anything better, I'll just use the edge of my scissors to poke that corner out straight. So as we press this down, we're making sure that the fold is on the stitch line. Right, so we've pressed it all to the inside now, and it's stitched down securely here so it'll stop it from turning out. But I think just to add it a bit security to it so that this doesn't pop out, we're going to stitch it down to the shoulder seam. Now it's called stitching in the ditch, and that's the ditch is the stitch line where the seam has been, so right in there where the stitches are, we're going to stitch it all together. Now I'm not going to start right at the edge because you might see the threads there. I'm going to come just along a little bit and stitch to the end of where the facing is, to that edge. But I'm not going to start right here. We'll start in about 1 centimetre or so, so I'll do that to both sides. And you just need to watch where your needle goes. That's it, going right in the stitch line so it won't show up. So that's our neckline finished. That's a great part of the top done. Next we're going to do the sleeves, but we're thinking that this might make an awfully long video, so we're going to cut it into 2 pieces. So that's all we're going to do for this session, and I'll see you next time to do the sleeves.